And then also we should put links for the past results, the 2017 QSO party results on the main Eclipse page. Could probably get that second part done very rapidly. They give it on the call. Was thinking of doing it last night because when I went and gave the talk at the club last night, they're like, "Where are the results from the 2017 Eclipse?" I'm like, "They're right here. I know." I'm like, "If you know to go to hamsci.org/SEQP 2017, you'll get right to it." But no one's going to know that. So, hi, Mary Lou.
Hello.
How are you?
Okay.
Good.
All right, well, it looks like the usual cast of characters for the most part is here. So we got the recording started. So let me bring up the agenda. And like you said, we want to add a couple of things. Let me share that. See if I can get Zoom to work better for me this week than I did last week. There, is a keynote showing with our agenda now?
Yes.
Good, okay. I figured out what I did wrong last week. All right. I'll put those in there so I don't forget them afterwards in case I need something. Okay, we pretty much covered the booth talks this morning, but I think we'll just show what's going on since we've got some different participants here today. A couple of little things on articles. And I think most of our time we'll be talking about some of our PR topics. Mackenzie's brought up a couple more good ideas, and we got to look at our mechanics and how we've got that stuff working. Is there anything else anybody wants to add? Okay, let me shut this off. Let me shut off the sharing real quick. And Nathan, you want to talk about the scoring committee? Because that's a new one we haven't heard about.
Right. So as I was last night I gave a talk at the Murgas Amateur Radio Club about how you as ham radio operators can get involved in the solar eclipse, which is basically, here's how the solar eclipse QSO party works, and we want you to get on the air for this. And I realized that as I was going through this, I was going through all of the rules and explaining them to everyone. And I realized this is complicated to score. And very shortly after we get all of these logs submitted, we're going to have to go through and we're going to have to validate them, and we're going to have to cross-check them, and we're going to need to properly assign bonuses and produce score sheets that we can stand behind. And we probably want to do this fairly rapidly. And so I did all of this for the 2017 Solar Eclipse QSO party. It did take me a few months to get everything pulled together because I had to get all the logs and I had to write the software. I had to also get all of the spots from the RBN and WhisperNet and things like that. But I was the person who went through and actually wrote the code to calculate this final scores, validate everything, and produce a final score report. And I think I'm looking ahead at the schedule, and I'm afraid I probably will not be able to spend the same time this time around on that as I did the last time. So I think it'd be good if we could recruit or establish some sort of a scoring committee where their job is to, write the code to actually do all the scoring and stand behind it. And I have the code I wrote the last time, and I can give it to the scoring committee if they want to start with what I did, or they possibly do their own thing. I think one of the things that's tricky about this is, we do assign certain bonus points for automatically being spotted by like this network and that network. And so the only way to really score that is to go get the logs from all those networks, which we will do. And then you have to write some sort of code that goes through each submitted log and then goes and finds their call in the submitted databases and, applies the correct algorithm for where you spotted on this band, every hour or whatever, and then puts it all into the right formula. So I think for this particular job, we don't necessarily need a scientist, but we do need someone. I think we do need someone who's well-versed in amateur radio. And I think we need someone who's well-versed in, data analysis and scripting and that sort of thing.
There's certainly no argument with any of that. That it's all very true.
I got my Apple IIe. I spent 30 minutes learning how to write machine language to put the letter C in the center of the screen. It was the last software writing I ever did.
I mean, I started out on a Commodore 64s and I used Apple IIe's in my early learning as well. So, I mean, I actually think you probably, I don't know, if all you had to deal with were the submitted logs, you could probably do it on an Apple IIe, but having to crunch all the numbers from all the spotting networks, I think we're gonna need something with a little more RAM.
Then you can, this is Bob French, you can add me to the committee. I probably can help out. What did you write it in originally? Was it in Python or?
Yeah, it's in Python.
Yeah, you can add me. I've done lots of contests and stuff, so.
That would be fantastic.
Okay, Bob, you're on the list. You're the first one. Thank you.
I've got some offline, Gary. I got some questions too about what's written here. Might need a couple of thoughts, but I can get with you offline.
Yeah, we can,
I
you
think-
can connect via email or Zoom anytime you'd like, Bob, so no problem.
I think ideally we get like 3 people on the scoring committee, kind of like you have 3 VEs double checking the exams, because I think this is the sort of code that, again, we're going to want validated and, you know, reviewed by a few different people.
That makes sense. You're gonna want a couple for sure.
Yeah.
Nathaniel,
Yes.
has anybody put down in black and white the requirements for what this program should do?
The closest we have to that is it has to properly give us the answers to people who submit logs and then score them according to the rules of the SCQP,
Okay,
which those rules are written down.
okay, so there are requirements to start the process.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
And so we have, yeah, so the rules for the SCQP and the Gladstone Signal Spotting Challenge, that basically gives the basic requirements. And then in terms of outputs, if I go to the previous SCQP 2017.
Yeah, we don't have to worry about that right now.
Well, I think this is worth looking at. So I had my code produce this PDF the last time.
Yeah.
So I was actually able to generate these score sheets
Okay,
with
not
my
a problem.
code. Yeah. So
Yeah.
we definitely do have. In terms of making a formal requirement sheet, we have everything we need to, if we have someone sit down and write a formal requirement sheet, we can write that up. But we do know what would have to go into that. So this is what I did the last time.
Yeah, I'd be willing to, since I'm involved with that, with the Society of Automotive Engineers,
Yeah.
perhaps I might be able to not write the actual code itself, but to produce a requirements document for the people who are going to write it, so that we have something. Yeah, so we have, they know what the goal is.
Mhm.
Yeah,
That sounds
we-
very good. Yeah, so if you'd like to do that, I'm on board with that. And you can start with both the Solar Eclipse QSO party rules and the Gladstone Signal Spotting Challenge rules.
Okay, if you could just send me the link or whatever to those where those are found, or put them in the chat, or do something so I can download them.
Yeah, I'll turn it back over to Gary. He can show you where those are.
Okay, thank you.
Yep, let me share my screen. Let's see.
Do we have a list too, Gary, of what logging programs are supporting us so far?
Yeah, I do. I don't know if it's in the rules or the FAQs, but yeah, I went through that and the guys at N1MM still owe us a fix, but scoring.
I had a request last night for N3 JFP, I think.
Yeah,
Logger.
that's a problem, because if you go to his website, he says, look, he says, there's so many contests out there and it takes 2 to 3 weeks to develop the code for each one. I'm going to be working on a new improved version of my software so that people can kind of roll their own. So he didn't sound like he was at all going to support creating any more contests in that software.
Okay.
There's really not very many logging programs that are contest specific or are geared up for contests besides N1MM, to my knowledge anyway. There's a lot of good logging programs, and DX Lab Suite, Dave might be able to come up with something to support it, but really, I would think, and others with more experience like Ward might want to chime in with a different thought, but I would really hope that people would gravitate towards N1MM, that it would just be a lot easier for them to do it.
I do agree with that.
Yeah, there are 3 or 4 other packages out there, WinTest and a few other things. I use Skookum Logger because I've got a Mac. The thing that saves us is that if people can basically use the same template from the VHF and other QSO parties, it's great if they've got one specific for the SEQP, but they're going to log properly, collect the grids, collect the signal reports with the other contest templates. So that's one of the things that's our saving grace.
That worked reasonably well last time, and unless there's a compelling reason to do anything custom, it generally blows up into a lot more work than anybody expects, and all these questions to answer and testing and that. If we've already got standard logging software that's well tested and has been demonstrated to generate the data we want, we really need to stay with that. And I would put something on the SEQP page. The following logging software is, I wouldn't say certified, but is suggested for use in the SEQP. And then if there's a special version or any other note, put that up there with it, like N1MM, any version as of. Please update your software before the day of the competition. That's always, people get up in the morning and they go, oh, I guess I ought to update, and then that's why logging software authors stop answering their phone on the day of the contest. So anyway.
All right. Yeah, that's kind of what we've got for N1MM. Is that page showing up on the screen right now?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, okay. The only issue with them is they need to reprogram their 10-minute timer. They lost that somewhere because we allow duplicates after 10 minutes. And that timer's not working when I tested it back in January, I think. So I got to get back on those guys.
What page are you looking at there on the ham site?
So the
Ham
best
site.
place to go, Jay, is hamside.org/contest-info.
Okay. Let's see what
And
I'll
that-
get there.
And that has both the rules and the FAQs for these two events that will need scored.
Most logging software has a keystroke to force logging, even if it's a duplicate or if an abbreviation, if there's something about the QSO data that the logging software doesn't like, you can force it to log it. In N1MM, that's Alt Enter. So But I'm not sure we want to get into that level of operational detail. If there's an FAQ that comes up online before the Eclipse, that might be a good thing to have in our back pocket. If somebody says, "Oh, my logging software doesn't let me do X," then ask the community how to force that that contact to be logged.
What, Gary, can I bring up something real quick?
Sure, Ron.
So one thing that Ward, when he said that, it just kind of triggered something is if we're getting people involved in this and we've got a forum or we're opening up any social networks or whatever you want to call it, platforms, I think we might want to be prepared that there may be people jumping on with the typical I can't get this, or where is it, or what's happening. And along with wanting to have people on, I know that on the day before the contest and on the contest, my N1MM and Elecraft and GX Lab forums just go crazy with people from very, very simple things to can't get this to do this, or I can't find it. That anyway, I'm just throwing that out. I don't think we have to decide anything. I'm just throwing out that we might want to anticipate that might happen.
No, it's true. That's a good point, though, and we got to be prepared to help those people as best we can. You're right, Ron. Okay, so we've got one volunteer for the scoring committee. We've got Jay going to help write up a requirements document. That's a fantastic start. Anything else on that topic?
I've got a quick question.
Sure.
So I noticed back on the other page there, it mentioned that any logging software that supports the ARRL VHF contest would be suitable.
Right.
So if, for example, I use the N3 FJP, which does have a logging component for that particular. I was wondering, would we want to try to list those individually, or because I'm thinking if you have the question there, you may actually get people trying to ask the question.
Yeah, it's and that would be fine. We just got to make sure we test that kind of stuff thoroughly, because some of the contest logging programs are not only configured specifically for the exchange, which is the obvious thing, but also the time of the contest. So I don't have a Windows machine, which is a big handicap. I can't test any of this stuff, but if you could try to simulate an SEQP entering, a half a dozen call signs, change the clock in your computer to October 14th, 2023 at 1200 Zulu, enter 5 or 6 QSOs into N1 or into N3 FJP using their VHF contest mods, and let us know what happens. That would help a lot.
Yeah, and I guess my question wasn't so much that as, do we want to say that? Do we want to say that any software that supports the ARRL VHF contest, or do we want to leave that out and just say, we recommend that you use, the N1MM? Just to avoid confusion. That's all I'm saying.
Well, let's see what we had in there. Take a quick look. Use any software that supports the SEQP. Note, let's see. Any logging software that supports the VHF contest exchange can also be used. So are you suggesting we leave that in there, or emphasize it, or remove it?
Yeah, and that's the question I was posing. Should you take it out just to make it more clear that we recommend, or do we want to let them go ahead and do that and then potentially have issues?
Well, it's difficult. I mean, we can suggest, we can plead, we can cajole, and everybody wanted to set up M1MM plus. And to be honest, that can be a very intimidating program to a contester, somebody who does this stuff regularly. I find it pretty easy to use. I only use it once a year on field day, and I find my way around it pretty well. But if you've never been into that, and you're a frequent user of N3FJP because it's your standard logging program, I'd hate to, I'm not interested so much in discouraging people from at least trying that, you know what I mean?
It's not so much that we need to support the format in the logging software itself, which is certainly helpful. The important thing for us is that we get a Cabrillo file on the output with the proper data in it. And you might want to put in a QSO line from a Cabrillo file or a sample Cabrillo log from last time. Is that in there? Oh, looky there. Ha! So never mind. But the important thing is that we get the Cabrillo on the output. Is N3FJP supporting the VHF contest and or the Eclipse? That's a very popular beginners.
They do support the VHF contest. I don't think they support the Eclipse, but I'll check.
Yeah, I was just going to mention that about that. I was just looking at, I just took an example of the Florida QSO, but I've looked at some others, and most of it is the N3, but there's also sorry, most of it. Some of it is the N3. Well, what do you call it? Sorry, N3FJP. It looked like maybe it's about 20%, so it's probably worth considering. And I know that's something that's used on field day a lot.
Right. No, it is definitely popular. There's no question about that.
I think
Since our requirements are fairly minimal.
I'm sorry, go ahead, Gary.
No, I mean, since our requirements are fairly minimal, you know, signal report and grid square, it should do the job, but it wouldn't hurt to test it again.
Okay, sorry, I didn't want to tie up too much of the meeting with that, but just wanted to bring it up. Thanks.
No, no problem. That's how we arrive at where we get through discussion. That's perfectly fine.
I do have a question though. Do you want the 4-position grid square or the 6? I happen to see back in that example there was some 4s.
So the problem is FT4 and FT8 only support the 4-digit or 4-character grid squares. So we would like to require 6, but until unless you want Joe Taylor to rewrite WSJT, which isn't going to happen,
Right.
for other reasons.
That was part of the reason I was asking. Okay, got it.
Yeah.
I think, you know, a lot of what goes into the exchange, I think is perhaps less important. And, you know, what's more important is what goes into like the header files or when they submit their logs. Because if they can provide their 6-character grid square in the header, then we can use that.
Yeah, and you get that.
That was actually something I did in my original analysis. I like went through all the different ways I was able to get latitude, longitude information. I tried to come up with some method that I thought was prioritizing the most accurate and the best ones. So like if I had, you know, 6-character grid squares that was submitted in the header file or in the SDQP form, I prioritized using that. If I couldn't find it from anywhere else, then I would, you know, go through the exchange if I could parse that. But a lot of the data we used for the analysis was really just the RBN spots.
That's true. We probably get 10 times or more, an order of magnitude or 2 more data out of those spots than we do from the actual logs. But
Yeah. I was also like, so I mean, when I did the analysis the first time, the only data I ever used in the actual science analysis was the RBN outputs. I didn't have time to do anything else.
okay. Anything else on the score? I'm sorry, go ahead, Nathaniel.
And I did find my scoring code. It's probably not in a form that will be, you know, it really was written for me. It does have comments in it, but I did find it. I want to add.
All right, I was gonna jump over to the booth talks and booth schedule real quick, just to review that. Let's see. we
Great.
got, a couple of things. So this morning, we filled in a fair number of people in our time slots. And I was double checking the Yoda website. And Neil's actually got another slot at 3 p.m. on Friday penciled in for us. So that would be 3 hours dedicated to Hamsci on Friday. I'm not sure if that's a little much or we just let that one go. Because it's getting late in the day too, so.
Well, I think it depends if there's someone who wants to do something. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'll align into the chart. I'll put it back in there.
Mhm.
And he didn't have anything for the ARISS stuff. It's just their logo. That's it. So these blanks are what they are for the moment.
Mhm.
So. But Hamsci, we're certainly looking, we've got currently 5 hours worth of booth talks.
Monday
And
afternoon.
we've got quite a few of them.
Oh my goodness. Solar Eclipse party.
If you're throwing that away, you ought to push that down because it's hitting on the floor anyhow. Are you throwing it away?
Uh-huh.
So you're gonna stick them out?
I stuck one out there.
So was that?
Hey,
over-
Todd, your microphone's open.
No, it's on Zoom.
I'm trying to figure out which person it is. Okay. Go ahead, Gary.
Yeah, I'm sorry. So if there's people who would like to do booth talks or demonstrations, we're certainly got time available for it because most of these here, they show a full hour. I think most of us are going to be done in 20 minutes or so with some Q&A and that sort of thing. So there's definitely more room for speakers and demonstrations in the booth talks on both Friday and Saturday. Okay. I did contact the gentleman from the ARDC. I'm waiting to hear back from them to see what they want to put in their booth for us. We got the scoring committee, the past results. I'll look at finding a good place to put links for those in. I never even thought of that. So that's a good adder. We were talking about magazine articles before. I've got the QST article pretty well done. Ward helped me by editing it and cleaning it up. I've made all those changes. And one of the things we suggested a few weeks back was to clean up the Hamsci glossary. So let's take a quick look at that. So if you remember, that thing was on a shared drive Google document somewhere. And basically all I was thinking about doing, this is the test site at the moment, is just copying all the definitions we've got, putting them in a spreadsheet and resorting them alphabetically and doing some very light editing and then drop them into a glossary page in the Hamsci site so we can reference this. And gave credit to Aiden, I think, who did the original work based on the 2020 workshop. I kind of remember this a few years ago. Phil did a lot of the definitions, gave those guys credit and offered that people want things that they want to add or things that they think need to be adjusted to let us know via email, and we'll keep. Obviously, this is just a small snippet of the whole thing, but at least it shows us the format. So if this is okay, I'll keep plugging away and getting this thing completed. And then this will be referenced in the QST article as well. So people, and then I've got to make sure all the terms I mentioned in the QST article are in here too, but at least we'll have a glossary.
That's great.
Okay. Good. The other thing we talked about last week, on our people page, you suggested we added, make room for some more names. Let's see. Oh, this is the test site. Sorry. Get rid of this one. Real Hamsci site. Under advisory board moderators, I put a section there called volunteer position. Put myself in there, and as we add more positions, we can add to our list. Does that seem reasonable?
Yeah. Number of people on the other parts are also volunteers.
Yeah, so that was the only thing I felt kind of funny because it's not like everybody else is getting a paycheck. So
I mean, do you want to say something about leadership or,
if you like that term better, I'll change it. Yeah, because you're right about the volunteer thing. That implies something that's not necessarily the case.
I'm not sure what's the right term to kind of cover everything. Hmm. General membership. Leadership positions, of course, we have
I mean, if
other
I
people
was to
are
work,
in leadership.
we call them management roles, but I don't know if that's right either.
Yeah, and I mean, there might be, I don't know exactly what the additional titles would be. Does anyone else have any ideas?
I know in some, the radio club, you'll have a program chairman and a meeting chairman and other things like that too, from the club point of view. That's kind of an odd term too.
I guess associate would be too low level, right?
Um. Additional.
Just-
What's
Why don't you
that?
just use volunteer leadership positions?
That might cover it all, because we've got the volunteer in there and we've got the leadership, and it doesn't apply so much about the other positions.
We can always update it to a better, to something else in the future. If we come up with something better.
Or volunteer leadership roles or something like that too. Maybe that's it.
Yeah.
Okay, that's not, that's easy to change. Yeah. one line at a
Community
time.
leadership roles or
Ham community leaders, maybe? I don't know.
that's possible.
So,
We call them section managers.
all right, that's not, we got a lot of other things to talk about. We won't spend too much time on that.
Yeah.
I know Dave McGaw's not here, but I did take his comment to heart about and others, the comments about adjusting the Python code a little bit for the TDOA event. I sent it off to Christina and Aiden and a couple of others to let them know what we are asking for, and I haven't heard back from them yet, so that's still an open one. Let's get into PR topics. That's probably the good way to spend the rest of the day. I did hear back from the woman who was managing the updates to the NASA citizen science page, and I had made about a half dozen or so corrections or suggestions for their little slider chooser shopping page for citizen science projects. And she came back and accepted all my suggestions, but I don't think any of that's been made live yet. So they're apparently NASA's still working on their website, so that's fine. Mackenzie's here. She did some work on Discord. Let me close a couple of these windows. I'm not sure how many of you've ever seen Discord, so I logged into it. And Mackenzie, if you've got some comments, you can see that she created what's called the official ham sci server. And we talked about the rules last week. You listened to our video and then we've got a rules channel. That's about as far as we've got, Mackenzie. Is that right?
I added some reaction rules and I also messed with the permissions on some channels. So when people join, they can pick the roles they want. It's like researcher, ham sci member, contester, etc. I just thought that would be kind of fun for people to pick. I asked you if you wanted me to add any other channels. I wasn't sure if you wanted a suggestion channel for people who come in and suggest channels that they would like to see in the server. I also, well, I don't know if you guys like the title of the server. I can change it if needed. Or if that's good, official ham sci server.
I guess it's good.
Okay. If you click general, you'll see that's the notification it's giving you.
Let's see, general on the left.
Yes.
Or should it just be ham side? Do we,
Does that sound better? Ham sci?
I think so, because if we can just have ham sci, you know, we've got hamsci.org.
Okay.
Consistent with the branding, right?
By the way, I like Ward's suggestion of activity coordinators. It's in the chat.
Oh,
Oh, for the people page?
Yeah.
Okay. It's in my notes. So one of the things, I don't know,
Actually-
Nathaniel, if you've got a Discord account, because I think it would be great if you did. That way Mackenzie could put you on here with the proper authorization.
I
similar to
do
what-
have a Discord account. I have Discord installed on this computer actually. But
So yeah, if you find
Don't
find this
use it
server
much.
and
yeah, bring up my, okay, so to search for, I am W2NAF number 8918.
can you repeat that again, please, Nathaniel?
W2NAF 8918.
898. Is the NAF lowercase or all uppercase?
It's all uppercase.
Okay.
So my call sign all uppercase.
Okay.
Add a server. Join a server.
I can add you right now. Let me add you real quick.
Great. Thanks.
Let's see. Okay, I sent you a friend request.
Okay. Direct messages, friends. Pending, Kenzie. I accepted.
Okay, now I will send you the. Let's see. Okay, I just sent it to you. Hopefully you can get in. And I'll change the name right now as well.
Have to agree to the rules.
good. Yeah, I'm glad that's in there. Thanks, Mackenzie. That's great.
I'm glad
Yeah.
it works.
Yes. Welcome.
Okay, I just changed the name of the server. Does that look good?
Yeah, it looks great.
Okay.
The rules, we'll work on some announcements. The reaction roles, I think it's important to make sure we're in agreement on these as we start inviting people to join. So are these roles showing up on my screen? I hope I'm sharing these.
Yes, they are.
Okay.
So I just had researcher, ham sci member, contester, amateur radio operator. So people can click the little emojis that's beneath it. And when they click it, it'll show up on their profile picture or their profile, I'm sorry. That's for any of them. So you can see what people are interested in. And I was also thinking of making certain channels similar to how the roles are, based on like the Tangerine SDR, the personal space weather station, ham sci workshops, but I don't know if that'll be too much. And then that channel could just specifically be for those topics.
I would add to the self-assignable roles experimenter.
Okay.
So I like Ward's idea, and my thought about these other roles and more channels and that sort of thing is do you want the community to be some of these roles and channels fairly broad and open? Or do you want them to be more specific where they may have less chatter going on in there and fewer people in them? I'm not sure what the right way to go is. Or can you grow that over time?
That can be grown over time. I
Yeah.
think with like specific channels, it would help make sure that you don't get a lot of spam in general and channels that don't need that traffic.
The second group of self-assignable roles seems to be more of an activity as opposed to a role. It's a thing that you operate or do within your role. So I don't know if you can retitle that group as self-selected activities or something like that.
Okay, I'll fix that.
And the third group is operating preferences, is the way I would think of that. And down at the bottom, it'd be the fourth group would be something like supported events or preferred events or something like that.
Thank you. I'll make sure to fix that after.
There you go.
So once we've got these few little edits taken care of and whatnot, it seems like the ham sci server is ready to be released into the wild, so to speak. Would that be correct?
If well, yes, I think that'll be fine.
Who's going to be the main person moderating this and minding the shop?
I could do that.
That sounds great. I'd appreciate that. You can see on our on the ham site list, we have a volunteer, we've got moderators, so you could also add yourself under the moderator position under people. You could be the Discord moderator.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's really important, I think, that we have some moderators. For the most part, we've been fortunate with the ham site list. Most of the time, everything just runs very smoothly, but there have been a couple of times in the past where we've had some difficult people and we had to step in and do some moderation. But hopefully everything just runs smoothly, but I think it is important that we have someone who's minding the shop. And you may want to recruit a friend to help you so that if you go on vacation or something like that, you're not the only person. You know, I'll try to keep a little bit of an eye on it too, but I get so many emails and so many, it's just becoming not feasible to watch everything.
Okay, I'll make sure I have someone help me.
That sounds great. Thank you so much.
Of course.
Okay, so if we've got moderators, we've got the roles cleaned up and the naming conventions and that sort of thing, is this something we want to put out in a listserv? Because I have no idea how many of our 800 members are Discord users. I know at least a few of them are. I mean, I suppose that's one way to get some publicity on our own ham side listserv.
I think so.
All right.
I'm a little nervous, but I think it's the thing to do.
I suppose it's like a lot of things, you know, you can always turn it off or close it down quickly if you had to, but I'm right, the chance of the need to do that, I think is fairly remote, but we're taking all the precautions just the same.
Yeah,
Let's try it and see what happens. It's an
I agree.
experiment.
I agree.
All right, and I'll figure out how to use this too in the meantime. So, all right, okay, wonderful. Well, thanks, Mackenzie. That's it's nice to have people bring new ideas and then help implement them as well, and then and follow through on what's needed afterwards too. So you've obviously filled all three roles very well.
I agree. Thank you very much, Kenzie.
I'm happy to help.
So along that, I'll stop sharing now. The other thing that we started to fool around with a little bit a couple of weeks ago was our Hampside Facebook page. I'm not sure. I know you're having some trouble, Nathaniel, locating the other people or in privileges and rights and that sort of stuff. I'm not sure if that's still moving along or where we're at with that.
I haven't looked at it since the last time. I think the last time I was trying to friend Kenzie. And I'm looking at that page now. So we have renew. If I hit manage. Moderation assess. All right, page access. All right, so we got Gary Hogston access last time, and I was trying to. Okay. And then Kenzie, did you messaged me the last time on Facebook, right? Or
No,
you followed me?
I followed you. I followed you again yesterday.
You followed me again yesterday. Okay, I'm looking at your page now.
Okay.
So I don't see a way to become friends with you or anything like that. Okay, well, right now I'm under the Hamsai account right now. So you're following. All right, so let me go back here. And if I go back to Hamsai and I hit manage, and then I hit page access, I hit add new, I hit next. This is what comes up.
I can give you the email to put in there. That might work better.
Sure. You want to put it in the chat?
I just put it in the chat for you.
Okay, great. I think we tried this last time too. There's no people matching my search.
I was gonna say, maybe if she likes something on the page, and then maybe you can go from there.
I'll try that.
Maybe. Okay. Great, so now you like something on the page, that's great. So you're interacting with that. So I click that again. Click your name. Okay. All right, so now that you've liked that, let's try going back to wonder if I go, okay, let me go here. Followers. Okay, you are a follower there. Great. So I see you there. Now I hit manage. And if I hit page access, hit add new, I hit next. This is very weird. Is there something else about your account, Mackenzie, that would make it so you couldn't be an admin for some reason?
I don't think so. I don't think my account is private.
Because
Oh. Okay. Try to follow me now.
wait, okay, that's you, right?
Yes.
Okay,
Okay. Oh my
I
god.
have to re-enter my. I'm gonna stop sharing for a minute. Try to. Okay, that looked more promising now. Confirm. Okay, you now have an invitation.
Okay. Let me see if I can find it. Would it just pop up in my notifications?
I think so.
Um,
It says your invitation expires in 31 days.
I don't see it.
Here I can show you.
Would it
Okay.
be in your messenger?
Oh. Oh.
See right there, Mackenzie Denton.
Is there a specific place I should look for that, or would it just be in my notifications?
I think it would just be in your notifications.
Let me try to log back in to this. Hmm. No, I'm not seeing it anywhere.
Oh,
No, we almost had it.
I know, because it definitely says it, right? Do you see it? Right here?
I see it on your screen.
Yeah, it's just not showing up for you.
Uh, okay.
Mhm. While
I
she is
can-
looking,
I can
Yeah,
look
go
for
ahead.
it later and just email you if I don't find it still.
okay. Mm. Yeah, I don't know why this is being so difficult. Well, we made more progress than the last time, so maybe by next time in a couple days, it'll show up as a notification. I don't know how Facebook distributes their servers and things, but maybe the Hamsai server is located on some remote island somewhere that's disconnected from the rest of their network. We're probably getting to the end of time here, but I do have one more thing to show before we go. So if you go, I now have up on GitHub the annular and total solar eclipse calculations that I've done. It's actually 50 gigabytes of information. But you can, I have debugged the problem with the annular eclipse. So if anyone wants that, they can go here and they can download what the obscuration values are for the upcoming eclipses at I did the calculation at a 50-kilometer altitude increments. So starting on the ground, and I did 50 kilometers altitude, 100, 150, all the way up to 450 kilometers altitude. And for each of those altitudes, I've calculated the central eclipse track. I've calculated the maximum obscuration for the entire thing. And for every 5-minute step, there is a map of the entire United States, North America, showing where the eclipse is at that particular point. And then for every one of these, there's also a movie. So those are the movies that you see in the presentations I make. And there should be a preview here somewhere. But let's see. So the zip files are the ones that have all the information for a particular altitude. These PNGs and the movies are just for I have some preview files in there too. So anyone who wants these calculations can go download them. And then I have forwarded these track files onto Joe Huba, who's currently working on doing the ionosphere predictions right now using SAMI 3.
Yeah, these videos could make for some interesting presentation fodder too. This is pretty cool.
It's nice because you get not only the videos, but you can download the numbers too.
Is there one available for what it's going to look like at the ground level, at surface level?
Yes. You have to. Unfortunately, if you download this this file right here, So it goes a year, start hour, date, end hour, and then this where it's a 0 kilometers out. That's the ground level one. So if you go grab that zip file right there, I think you can just download that. It'll be a 2.6 gigabyte file, but that'll have all the ground level information in it.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I've got one picture I want to share real quickly. Some of you might remember I won a $100 gift certificate to DX Engineering at the workshop, and I figured, well, I ought to reinvest it in the ham side. So I went down to DX Engineering last week and picked up a 36-inch preamplified loop receiving antenna. So when I get my grape going, or I decide to do whisper or whatever, I just installed this up in the attic today. So I kind of reinvested back in the ham side. So that worked out pretty well. I was pretty happy.
That's fantastic. How much was that one?
The original price was 500. They've come out with an improved version. So this generation 1 was only 380 only, relatively speaking.
Okay,
So,
right. Yeah, I was going to say the ones that I use, which look similar to that, but I think might be a slightly different brand. They were, 500 and maybe more now. So yeah, I was hoping you're going to say, oh, it just it was $100. That's how much my gift certificate was. But that's okay. That's great, Gary.
all right, top of the hour and then some. Is there anything else? Otherwise, we'll start to digest all my notes and get ready for next week, I guess.
Okay, it's Nick, V7DXR here. I've been away for the last few weeks, and you mentioned that there are notes or records, minutes of these meetings. I could probably find them by looking on the Hamsci website, but if there is a quick guide to whereabouts I might find these, the minutes for the previous meetings that I've missed.
Yeah, I think, let's see. On the meetings page, let's see, is that where they're at? There should be a link to it. These are all on YouTube.
Okay.
Yeah, we don't have minutes. If you go to hamsci.org/telecons, we do have recordings of all of these.
Okay, so it's just
Yeah.
strictly speaking YouTube recordings. Okay, that's
Yeah.
I mean that's good. That's certainly good enough.
Yeah.
So okay, so it's Hamsci. So
Welcome back, Nick.
yeah, only for a few hours so far. So I'm
Okay.
really not making much sense yet, but maybe by next
Well,
week.
yeah, that sounds good. While you were gone, we had some discussion about how we might go forward with the AM broadcast analysis, and we had some ideas and we made some progress in terms of getting people together who might want to do the analysis and put a proposal together. There's also some setbacks because it turned out the original thought I had for doing that analysis, it turns out that it would be incredibly computationally expensive the way I had originally thought of it. But maybe we can talk about that more in the future and look into trying to plan this out a little bit better.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'll look at the YouTube recordings and see if I can get myself up to speed as to what you were actually doing, and see if there's anything I can suggest further. Okay.
Well, what I was
yeah, go ahead.
Very quickly, what I was thinking was at the University of Utah, we had a PhD student come to the Hamsci workshop, and she's working with a person out there that has that they do modeling of the ionosphere and radio electric fields radio propagation in the ionosphere, but they use a technique that will work very appropriately down in the AM range, in the medium wave broadcast range, where like Farlap breaks down. So originally I was thinking, oh, this is great. We can, include them include them in the analysis, have them do the modeling. We could have you coordinate the data collection. And then I was getting my one of my friends, a math professor here at Scranton, interested in helping with running the scientific analysis of actually comparing the model results to what you collect. So that all sounds really good and people are generally interested, but it turns out to run that particular model again is incredibly computationally expensive. She said that she did a model path for VLF 24 kilohertz. She did like a 2 million kilometer path at 24 kilohertz, and it required something like 28,000 processors. And she said that the computational cost goes up with frequency. So if you go from 24 kilohertz up to 1.5 megahertz, we're really in trouble.
Good
So,
Lord.
yeah. So I don't think.
Yeah,
So
go
I
ahead.
think her approach is interesting, and it would give you the correct answer, but I don't think. I think from a practical rethink.
Yeah,
So.
okay. All right, I'll say I'll look into it, you know, what you actually went through further and I will, you know, I'll also have to talk to you further about where Farlap breaks down.
Okay.
Anyway, yeah, but at the moment, as I say, I'm not making too much sense, so I'll sign off. So we'll see you next week.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And welcome back. Welcome home.
I guess I'll say 73 then.
Okay, we'll put a wrap on it. Thanks, everyone.
Bye, everybody.
Have a good week.
Thank you.
Good one.